Talk about the most obnoxious sound in the world. On this go around on Project Lamborghini, we're going to do something a little unconventional. Something that isn't normally found on a 1968 Firebird, but at the request of the owner and a long conversation, we determined that maybe it wasn't such a bad idea to have such a device that does this. You might be asking yourself, what in the absolute heck is that really obnoxious sound? A little thing happening over here? That's what we're going to get into here today. And what we're talking about here today is car parking sensors. That's what it actually says, right? And what we're going to do is going to modify the old Firebird to accommodate such little things. And here's what I love the most about it. This is the directions that it came with. One page, mostly in English, decipherable, but not much for description. But like I said, mostly in picture. I read picture very fluently, so that's fantastic. What I've done, though, is a little bench testing. That's what we're going to do. Before I go through all the trouble of finding a way to graft this into this car, I wanted to bench test the sensors, kind of get a feel for how it works. We have a little display. It is really similar. It's as simple as plugging in your four sensors, A, B, C, and D, left, middle, right, middle, whatever. And it does make a difference because the display goes both ways. So you're coming in from this side, it trips these sensors and tells you how close. Coming from this side, so it's kind of smart technology-ish. And to make it work, like I said, these are all plug-in. You have a power and a ground. What they have you do is just wire into the reverse light signal. So a ground here, you put the ground on a constant ground somewhere. Then as soon as you turn the backup lights on, that's your voltage signal to operate the system. Operates on very low current, I suppose. But, so I simulated that. Jumpered up here to the old Transmarado, has some hot wires here, some juice wires to it, and that's how I was getting it to beep. I'm learning that you can come in above the sensor, it doesn't really trip it, but as long as you're a straight line from it and coming towards it, it'll actually pick it up. From the side, it's a little weak, so you want to probably hang these out close to the outside edge of the car. Just FYI. Now, I know a lot of you are probably out there going to be, what the heck are you thinking here? Why would you do such a thing? Well, this is my dad's car. He's 73 years young, and he says his neck don't work like it used to. He doesn't want to back into something. One, doesn't want to damage the car, and then two, whatever he hits, especially if it's a human or something like that, you don't want to run over a kid or a dog or something. So I think it's for the protection of the car and his sanity, and I don't think it's a bad idea. And what we're going to do is going to be a simple mod, I hope. But this is going to mount here once it's all said and done above the rear view mirror. We're going to run the wiring through the windshield post and run it down the side of the car. Now, these little sensors, on the other hand, well, my dad helped me engineer some little pods. Now, these are made out of metal. You can give it to Ring or not, but anyway, that's pretty solid stuff. We're going to drill a hole to snap these in. What the plan is to mount these to the tail panel. So as we can see the progress, I've got the whole car welded minus the tail panel because we're going to build these into the tail panel down here. Then I'll drill the holes and run the wiring through. That's going to be the plan. So they're really, you'll see them, but you won't. But I'm hoping we'll get this grafted in here and welded in. There's enough room between the two panels that the sensors will actually mount up okay. Then find a way to get the wiring in. So that's what we're going to work on here, just a little FYI. If you ever see this car in a kind of car show or in person, that's what this thing is right here. So we got an engineer where these are nice and perpendicular to the floor. So should work pretty good. So my next step is now rip the tail panel off and work on getting these welded in and punch the hole in. Before we jump into that, maybe y'all want to see how this works. So this is our put them in reverse switch. So we go ahead and touch it right here. That should activate the system. And of course, I'm standing right in front of it, so it's going to be quite angry. I back way up. I stand to the side here. It sees me on this side. Keep backing up further. No more going off. I get a little closer. This side should trip. You'll see the lights on the one side. Jump to this side. Kind of cool. Walk all the way up here, and it really starts to cuss you out. There you go. Let you know you're really close to where you don't need to be. So that's how that works there. And then, of course, I believe my dad said he got this from the Jungle store, probably less than 20 bucks. So not too bad of a price for such thing if you're interested. And I guess when we're talking about product placement, no endorsement for that. No endorsement for this. Be a whole lot cooler if it did. And this one is, well, no endorsement because it's 1969 Chevy radio is what I was told. 1969 Camaro and or maybe Impala. But I'm looking for someone out there in the old YouTube world or out there watching. Tell me what this fits. I know it's definitely not Pontiac, but it's AM, FM, the face still flips. No idea if it works. Didn't find any stickers on anywhere identifying a part number or anything like that. But I guess end result, this is in my parts room. I don't necessarily want it, but I need some help identifying it, or someone who needs or wants that, let me know. So anyway, now let's get on to ripping the tail panel off this car. You know, I was doing some thinking before I actually removed this tail panel. I've been doing a little sketching and doodling, and that super highly technical picture instructions doesn't really specify the spacing side to side where these things go. So I did learn to do my little demo up front. It doesn't have a good like side view, so I would like to keep it to the outer edge as much as possible. We also have the inner part here where the frame rail is attached, so it has a little bump. And same right about here where I drew the circle is where the fuel tank strap, so it bumps out the tail panel. So I don't want a depth issue to be a problem here for us. So kind of on a toss-up. I'm thinking of moving here closer to the outer edge. So I'm going to try to figure out my positioning, and then I can check when I pull this thing off where it lines up on the inside, because that's going to affect maybe where I locate them. And also cosmetically, I don't want this thing to be an eyesore. I know it's going to not be factory. I get that. But I don't want it to be so obvious it doesn't look quite right. But I'm thinking about here and out here on the edge. So I'm kind of where my head's at, or maybe bring it over this way just a little bit, because we're going to have the license plate in the middle. That'll kind of balance things out maybe. So maybe about like so and so. But I'm going to do some measuring here. I'm going to bring it about maybe 1.25 inches down from this line. It's going to be our top line where this is going to go, and see how it looks. Here's what I came up with. That gets you about 1.25 inches from the edge of the flange, keeps me away from the frame. And this one here keeps me away from the fuel tank straps on the inside for the support. So I should have enough depth to mount our little buckets and then our sensors in place. So I think that's going to be our location. So now it's time to commit, sink or swim, right? I'm gonna go ahead and drill a 1.5 inch hole for all those spots, and then we're gonna trim out as needed. But we're gonna actually weld those directly to our tail panel. I guess no time better than the present to go ahead and commit, right? 1.5 inch hole saw. This is what I use for punching holes in the subframes and repair those. So I done got this piece, so we'll go ahead and just give it hell. Probably helps if you snug up a bit better than that. Now we'll try it. All right, take two now. We're gonna try that again. New drill bit. Yep, all right, cool. Yep, that should clear. If I would have put it over here, I would have hit that little bracket. That would have been bad. So that works. See if we can't do the same thing here. Well, here. Ooh. Yeah, that works. Do the same the other side. All right, now for my next trick is I'm just gonna spot weld these little tacks around these, not completely welded in. I'm gonna take the tail panel off to weld them in really nice and clean them up. So just for placement though, I'm just gonna go tack, 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 and get all four of these kind of burned into place. I need to remove that tail panel so weld it in a whole lot more gooder, because it'd be a lot easier flipping it up on its side. So fortunately, that's not been permanently welded in yet. And then we can also paint the inside and seal it up. So just as simple as that. That's tail panel. It's off. Now basically, let's proceed with welding all the way around the whole diameter of all four of those, I guess you'd say bungs, or whatever you want to call them. Once they're all welded in, clean up the welds. Try to keep it really tight and clean. I'm going to try to keep from warping. This is kind of more of a custom thing that I typically get into, but I'll go ahead and burn those all in and see how that looks. Well, that's all squared away. Now the tedious process of cleaning up those welds, pulling them in pretty tight. I don't really feel any warping. Maybe a little bit on that one, but it's still a little warm. It may cool off. Not a little hammering on it. Next thing though, work on buffing those things off. Got those all welded in and buffed out. Now all I need to do is punch the hole that will actually allow this to actually snap into place. It's got these little clips here. So once it's in position, it'll kind of snap in, but I need to drill the holes. I need to know how big to make them. Appears to be 0.863 inches. So I've got my trusty step bit here. 0.863 inches. Appears to be... That's going to make it pretty easy. The 7/8 step there on the step bit. 0.870. So, 873. Yeah, whatever. Close enough. We're going to stop at the 7/8 mark. And then we'll see how that looks. And I use the calibrated eye to find the center of this thing. So hopefully this goes well. Go the right way first. There yet. We're getting close. Okay. Have to undo the wiry tie here. Must be made overseas. It's twisted the wrong way. Ay, ay, ay. Okay, there we go. Plenty of cord length, that's for sure. Good gravy. Well, that's going to be a pretty snug fit. Now, I don't plan on leaving these in here, but I need to punch out the holes in the other three. But I wanted to make sure that was going to work. And the answer is, yep, that'll mount right in there. So what I'll do now is drill the other three out. Then we're going to test fit it back on the back of the car. Then hook up the electricity to it and make sure it's going to work. So get all four of those put into place. Now these are clearly going to need a little bit of body working to get them finished out. They're not bad, but we're going to need a little skim coat on. But this isn't permanent. We're still doing, I guess you call R&D on this thing, research and development. But checking this out here on the back side, it barely sticks through that panel. What I'm talking about is the actual sensor, so I don't have to worry about any interference. I probably didn't have any interference room whatsoever. I probably could have put them anywhere that I wanted, but I wasn't 100% sure. So now that I've seen that, I think we're okay. Now I'm going to put it back here on the car, wire it up, and make sure it's going to work. Now, if you were paying attention earlier, that's what the big gaping hole is for. That's going to allow me to feed the wires up between the two panels when it's all done. But for now, for test fitting purposes, I'm still fishing them through. But I got some ideas. I'm not going to leave these wires in here until, I'll probably fish those through after it's painted. So I'll probably end up rigging up some kind of a string system, taping it, hope to God the tape holds the string in place and I can feed the wires through once all the painting is finished. So at least that's my thoughts. But before I even concern myself with that, got them put in, got them wired in, got them plugged into the module A, B, C, and D. That way they're in the proper location. So now I'm going to flip this tail panel up, feed the wires through. We'll wire this thing up, fire it up, and see what it does. All right, got it all. Listen to that thing. I'll move a little further away. Got it all wired up now. Test fitted the panel back on the car. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4 sensors. Now they're kind of an eyesore at the moment because I need to do the body working around, but imagine it's all painted back to the original color. Really gonna be hard to see. They're gonna be below the bumper. I don't think there's gonna be interference with the bumper tripping the thing, but it is pretty sensitive. So I'm still probably 5-6 feet away from the car, but as I get a little closer, it beeps a little bit more, and my little display is telling me left or right. And I get closer, and of course it lets you know that I'm really close. I get my hand really close to it, but it's doing what it's supposed to do. And I put that sensor closer to the edge, seemed to make a difference. I want you to watch this here. If I come in from the side of the car, I'm way over here, not a whole lot's happening. If I get within, we're close to the quarter panel here, not even near the car, and it's tripping it. So I'm thinking putting it here on the edge was the way to go. But I can now obviously make the thing very angry and set it off. But here's the other thing I want to know. Let's pretend the bumper was on the car. That's going to hang out to about here. I'm gonna get even closer. Nothing. As long as my bumper isn't hanging away from the body 3 inches, I should be fine. But I'm pretty sure that bumper hugs pretty close. So that's the only thing I have a little bit of a hope we don't have a problem with, but I don't think we are. That's gonna work out pretty good. So if I start here on this side, it's tripping here on the passenger side. Walk to the driver's side, it starts tripping on the driver's side. So this thing actually works. So there you have it. Love it or hate it, 1968 Firebird with parking sensors. Well, did that go over well at the judging? Was that a factory option or not? Absolutely not. But in the sense, remember who this is going for? My dad. He says he doesn't want to back this thing in anything. I have verified even then on the side, it does a pretty good job. So even if you got something here, you know, a foot and a half from the side of the car, it's still going to set you off so you don't maybe hit the side of the car. So not a bad investment. Now, I got to do some body work and obviously a lot more repair. This isn't done. This is kind of the mock-up or prototype go. Then I got to come up with a plan to fish the wires through, kind of still working on that. But I plan on hiding that module up here behind the cocktail shaker so you won't even see this thing. The only thing you might see is more the corner where I brought the 4 wires through the floorboard. But again, it's going to be kind of tucked behind the cocktail shaker. The only reason you're going to know is because I just told you. Other than that, it's a pretty stealth installation, minus the obvious visuals here. But again, you put the bumper on the car, most people aren't going to have a clue. They don't even know what this is, so maybe it's a one-off. Now, is it the coolest thing you've ever seen? No. Just having some fun, building something out of the ordinary and sharing it with you. So I've got now several hours of body working instead of just putting this tail panel on, but I think it's for a neat little touch that I guess it kind of makes it his car special to him. So anyway, that's all squared away. I want to work on getting the epoxy primer. I'm going to sandblast these really clean. That way I get any kind of welding. There's a little bit of pitting in some of the welding. I didn't love how it welded. But I'm going to get it all sandblasted out real nice. Epoxy prime the inside and outside. I even channeled out the inside of those, the bottom edge here. That way it'd act like a gutter or catch all the dirt. If any moisture or anything got in there, it should drain out the backside. So a little preventive maintenance, hopefully. But anyway, appreciate you following me on the journey of the old Lamborghini. This is mod number 1. We're going to have a couple, 2, 3 mods. This is probably the most extreme. But it adds a custom touch to the car. So yeah, I'll grab the camera, whatever we get into here next time. May work on welding that tail panel in. I have no idea. Whatever it is, we'll definitely get some more content of the old Firebird and sharing with you all out there. Appreciate you following me on the journey, and we'll catch you all next time.